All right, everyone, welcome to the Wellness Webinar Series. Forgive me for being 2 minutes late. We had some technical difficulties behind the scenes, but here we are. I am going to stop my screen here. I'm going to start my video, and I want to welcome Jamie Kyson to our live. Hi, Jamie.
Hello. I'm doing really well.
Yay. Okay. Hold on. I'm making sure we got this set up over here. I got lots of people going, where is it? Where is it? I know, you guys, I was late. With technical.
Everybody gets 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. Here we are. And we're streaming live. We are awesome. Okay. So, hey, Jamie.
Hello.
I'm so glad that you are here and part of this series. I just went into full screen. Didn't mean to do that. It's so important to talk about self-care and wellness and everything right now, especially in these times. And I know you've been talking about this for a very long time. So I just want to introduce you to my community because you guys, I'm so excited to share Jamie with you. If you don't know her already, I've known Jamie for a while now, actually. I don't know how many years. I don't remember.
Many, probably seven.
Something like that.
Yeah.
A while, a long time. But so this is Dr. Jamie Kyson, and she is a trained neuroscientist, actually. She has 14 years of experience in autism and language research. She has 16 years of experience with essential oils, which is why you are all here today. And Jamie has published 10 journal articles in prestigious neuroscience journals. She's given talks around the country on the science of essential oils. And Jamie partnered with Doterra, and I have my Doterra oils right here. She partnered with Doterra in 2015, and she has a client base of over 500 individuals and growing, and I'm obviously one of them. Jamie believes that plant medicines have the power to transform healthcare and help each of us live more balanced and vibrant lives. And fun fact, Jamie recently published a musical children's book called Kaileia's Garden, which features plants that have widely used essential oils. So yay, Jamie, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know there's a million things you could be doing right now. And it speaks volumes that you're here and you're committed to working on your wellness. I mean, that is so huge, especially in these times. And I just want to acknowledge the elephant in the room that we're dealing with a global pandemic. And that's really stressful. No matter where you are on the spectrum of what you have to deal with because of this, whether, you've lost your job or you're glad to have time at home, or, you're dealing with a tough relationship at home, or you love spending more time with your relationship, just whatever the spectrum is, no matter where we are all feeling it. Yeah. And it is so amazing that you took this hour just to take a break and a breath to learn how to up-level your health in really, really easy ways. So I want to just start with an acknowledgement of that for you. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to go into some slides. And my intention for this next hour, I just want you to leave feeling better and having some tools and tricks that you think, I could really use that, and then I have a small challenge, a light challenge, is just to maybe just take one thing that you learned from today and practice it during the week. We're going to work on some really, really simple things that you can do to reduce your stress. And a little backstory. So I am trained as a neuroscientist and I have been studying autism. And one thing that was really exciting to me was that essential oils, which are basically just the medicines from plants, have such powerful effects. And they're now being studied around the globe in research laboratories, research that's being peer reviewed by panels of scientists, thousands of research articles, and real science of how these work in our bodies and our brains to help. And it's just, to me, it's like a love letter from nature. It's like, I got your back. I got your back with all these different plants and flowers and fruits and beautiful things. And to me, that's so encouraging, because as we're all at home, I like to think, well, what can we do? The outside world seems like it's crumbling, but what can I do in my own home to get my power back and to be empowered with this area? So the first thing that we have access to that's free and it's so powerful and so beautiful is our breath. And so I just wanted to give everyone permission, and maybe we can all do this together, wherever you are, all over the world, in your beautiful place, wherever you're sitting, just to create a field of beauty around yourself, whether that's a golden light or anything you imagine. And just maybe on the count of 3, we can all breathe together. So 1, 2, 3. Just letting it out. And I just want to invite you, if any time during this next week, you're feeling like your body is starting to constrict, you're feeling that the world is kind of crashing in, just to expand that breath and just how good that feels. And it's accessible to us all. So thank you for doing that with me. Now, as we're breathing, what do we notice? We're noticing our environment. We're noticing smells. We're noticing sounds, maybe lights, but really, as we close our eyes, we're really taking in this language of the air, which is this language that's shared between plants and trees, which is chemicals. This is how they speak. So we use speech, we use sound waves, they use a chemical language. And so something that's also accessible to us that's really inexpensive or free is essential oils. And it's really simple what these are. Every plant and citrus and things like that, they create this little sack of fat, and it's a chemistry lab, and it has all these different chemicals that the plant creates to defend itself against viruses, ding, 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 bacteria, insects, things like that. And what we're doing is we're just saying we're collecting those little sacks of fat, that's why it's called oil, putting it in a bottle, and then we're using that and really concentrating it so it's clinical grade. Think about these as pharmaceuticals, like an alternative to pharmaceuticals. So one thing that goes hand in hand with breath is really just inhaling these. So we're just going to put a couple drops on our hand, rub them together, and then close our eyes and just inhale that. Give me 1 second. My niece just came into the room. What's that, sweetheart?
Do you know where Kailia's snacks are?
They're in the stroller.
I love it.
This is the real deal. So
it's real life, people. It's live and happening.
This is real life. It's so great. And that's what happens. I love that happened because it's just life. And we don't have control. But what we do have is we have our breath, and we have things that we can do just to like enhance our life. So as we're inhaling that, what happens is these aromatic molecules are coming up off our hand. They're going into our nose. And this is where we're going to interject some science. So I'm going to give something for everybody, whether you're a scientist or you don't know much about science or don't really care that much about it. I'm just going to give a snapshot just so there's something for everybody. But what this is a cross-section of the brain. So this is if, let's say we did a cross-section like this, and here's our brain. And pretend that this red dot is an essential oil. So these are aromatic molecules that are going to go into our nose. Now, the cool thing about our nose is that it's the only area that has direct access to our brain. Okay, so you see this little green area here. This is our olfactory bulb. And as we inhale the oil, it's going to hit our olfactory bulb, direct access to our brain. It's going to activate something called the amygdala, which is the center for emotions. So whenever you're feeling anxiety, they've even now found that even extreme emotions like happiness, it activates, that's going to activate those neurons in there. And then it's also going to activate the hippocampus, which is the center for creating new memories. So why this is so powerful is that as you're inhaling the oils through your olfactory bulb, you are changing the neurochemistry of 2 really important structures for emotions: the amygdala, which regulates emotions, and the hippocampus, which regulates memory. So as I'm inhaling my breathe oil, in 22 seconds, this whole system is going to be activated, and the amygdala is going to be regulated. So that's going to be more in balance. And I'm going to create a positive memory around this. This is also a really good time for anchoring any beliefs that you want to have. So let's say I want to believe that things flow well for me. The universe has my back. Abundance is coming to me. Anything like that. Pairing that with an aromatic molecule is really, really effective because you're pairing your emotions with your memories. And then as you do this throughout the day and throughout the weeks and throughout the months, you're creating these patterns, you're strengthening this neural circuitry so that the next time you smell eucalyptus, which is in breathe, your brain's automatically going to think the universe has my back. Things are working out for me. Abundance is coming my way. It's a really, really powerful technology to leverage. Okay, so I polled my community with 3 different big emotions that people were experiencing right now. And I wanted to offer something. This is from an app called Essential Emotions. I'm also going to reference this book. It's not mine, but I love this series, Essential Emotions. And it's a book and it's an app, but it's really helpful. It gives visualizations, declarations, questions, different supporting oils. And we're just going to go through some of these, and hopefully it helps with these feelings. And again, this is all recorded. So if you want to go back and say, I'm really struggling with overwhelm, this is here for you to go back to time and time again. So as we know, overwhelm, it's just life circumstances are beyond our ability to handle or manage burden, usually present when we're trying to control. So much is out of our control right now. So much, it's like, it's laughable how much is out of our control right now.
Yeah.
It's bananas. Like no one would even think that this is happening. So this is such a good opportunity to exercise surrender and trust and you controlling what we can control. Some oils that are really powerful to support this are basil. Basil is really good for the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands get really overwhelmed in times of stress. So basil is really good. Just put right on your adrenal glands, which is toward your back. A really beautiful blend called Aroma Touch. This blend called Rescuer, past tense, you could rub on your temples. Digest Zen is traditionally an oil for digestion, but when you rub that on your stomach, it helps you digest life's experiences. So when things seem too much to take in, emotionally, it helps you digest those experiences. Okay, so I would just invite you all to close your eyes. Again, take advantage of that breath, take a deep breath. And I'm going to guide you through a couple things. So let's look deeper. What am I trying to control? Do I trust that help outside of myself is readily available? What am I trying to control? Do I trust that help outside of myself is readily available? So let's declare. I declare I am now perfectly supported in every moment. All things now work together for my good. And as we just breathe in that declaration, we're going to visualize, see white light flooding into your heart and supporting the spine and the lower back. And we're going to see that white light flooding into our heart and supporting the spine and the lower back. And just feel how good that is to feel that. All right. So would you like to be more happy, connected, and empowered? This is a no-brainer, no pun intended. Of course we would. And there are really simple ways to do that. So oftentimes we lose sight of the fact that we are created as a whole entire system. It's really interesting to talk about emotions without talking about the body, because they feed so much into each other. In fact, the body is really literal in how it's holding emotions. So it's really funny. I'll share a personal story. So my husband has this bad neck pain. It's like really, really, really bad. And so I'm massaging oils into his neck and I'm reading about what does this mean? And it said, someone close to you is a pain in your neck. And we just both started cracking up. It was like, this should go on a comedy episode. This is awesome. But it's so true. Our body is so literal. If you're having lower back pain, it's also that it's oftentimes you're not feeling supported. Lung pain, it's that you're not wanting to take in life. There's so many literal things that feed back between our body and our mind, which is why during this time together, I want to talk about some things you can do for your body that feed into your mind, some things for your mind that can feed into your body. So they're feeding into each other. There's another third piece, which is spirit. And I'm sure many of you have felt this if you've meditated at all, or let's say you've prayed or connected somehow with a higher power or the power that connects us all of a sudden, you're feeling better. Like my shoulders feel better, or I feel like I can breathe now, or for some reason I can sleep better. So these are all going into each other. So it's really important to nourish all of these different elements.
I love that so much, Jamie, if I can just...
Absolutely.
I think one of the things that really, when you spoke to me about essential oils, like I heard about essential oils for years. And the one thing that I took away when you first introduced me to it was the science behind it, and that this is scientific. It's scientifically proven. So like I love the mind, body, spirit. Like the mind is the intelligence behind this stuff. Do you know what I mean? And how it manifests in the body and how it comes through in the spiritual aspect, because we all are spiritual in some way. And for me, just the way you've talked about essential oils, for me, I just love that it's based in science, but then you bring it into this beautiful spiritual place, right? And finding the balance with all of that, I think is so beautiful. And I'm just really excited people are hearing this today. Because I always thought essential oils were woo-woo, and now I have like 20 million of them that I use all the time. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I get now the science behind it, and it is woo-woo, and I love it. And it's both things, So I just love the way you're talking about this. So I just had to.
Oh, thank you so much for articulating that. It was a really, really smart way of articulating it. Yeah, I can speak from personal experience. I mean, I invested so much in analytics. I mean, that was my whole life, was just, how can I think about this? Like pros and con lists, to-do lists, like everything was analytic. And I found myself off balance a lot. I don't know if any of you have experienced this during the quarantine, but when you get really involved in your mind, you lose track of your body a little bit in the world. And what I was finding is when I was studying for exams or dissertation, things like that, I would bang my body. I would I would hit my body against, accidentally against a door, or like smash a glass or things like that. Cause you lose sight of that, the physical world. And it's so important, and something that I'm learning and really taking advantage of is there's so much intelligence in our body, and really listening to our body. Like I would just kind of before just dismiss it. Oh, I've got stomach pain. Like I've got neck pain. I'm just going to dismiss that. And I'm going to, pop a pill. We're in a really like Band-Aid society where it's just like, fix the symptom. But this is all about listening to your intelligent body and asking it what it has to tell us about, and then getting into balance instead of just masking the symptoms. And that's one thing that has been a disease, pun intended, in Western medicine, is to just treat the symptoms, because you make a much better client if you're constantly diseased and then you constantly need your symptoms treated. So the real goal of medicine should be to get yourself in balance so that you don't have the symptoms and you're correcting the root of the problem, which sometimes can be emotional. Again, like they feed into each other. So sometimes it's an emotional issue that when you address that, it corrects the physical, and then you don't have the symptoms anymore.
Love that.
So we're going to go into how the, sorry, Jody, did you have something?
No, I was just saying, I loved what you said.
Yay, that's awesome. So we're going to go into some real science about how emotions are actually tangible entities in the universe. So buckle your seatbelt. So the cell, so for anybody, just kind of go back to biology class, but the cell, just briefly, is wired for intelligence. And it has it's encased in this double layer of fat, very fancy term called the phospholipid bilayer. But you have to think it's just in the sack of fat. And it has a nucleus with DNA and these mitochondria. It's this beautiful city, and it's really, really intelligent. So I want to go through this. So emotions are information carrying molecules. They bind to and react with cellular receptors. They can actually get right into the cells and bypass the receptors, and they impact the way cells function and their behavior. So we're going to talk, you don't have to memorize this is here, but I just want to show you a real example of how stress can turn into a physical entity in the universe, right? So we think about stress as something abstract, but it actually can turn into something real. So this is how it happens. So you have stress, okay? That's going to trigger something in your brain called the hypothalamus, which is going to cause this domino effect. So it's going to release something called CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone. And what that is, that just binds to the pituitary gland. So we're right here, which releases something called ACTH, which binds to the adrenal glands. Remember, Basil really is supportive of those, which releases something called cortisol. Okay, what cortisol is it's a steroid hormone. It's lipid soluble. It's derived from cholesterol. And so why is that important? Well, what happens is now we're going to the blood. So this cortisol, now remember, it's just an abstract idea. You're like, oh, something is stressful in the world. Now you actually have something that's going around in your body called cortisol. It's lipid soluble. Lipid just means fat. So now, because fat likes fat, if you've ever mixed, butter and oil, it's going to go together. So that's going to be able to go through your cell. It's going to be able to be transported into your nucleus. It's going to regulate your DNA. So as we talk about like woo-woo stuff, this is just a real live scientific example of how something really intangible can create real changes in your body. So how do we counteract that, or how do we work with that? So essential oils are a really good way to bypass that. So one way we talked about is if you're having stress in your brain, before it even gets to your adrenal glands and is releasing cortisol, you can stop that signal by saying, oh man, I'm stressed. Take a deep breath. You can move a little bit. That helps release the emotions, and just inhale your oils. That's going to activate your limbic system. It's going to calm your brain down, and you're not going to get that cortisol, which is regulating your DNA. So that's the first line of defense, is to really, really have mind management, manage your thoughts. Now, let's say you've gone too far. It's like you're super stressed out. You've just watched the news for an hour. Your brain is like going crazy. Your adrenal glands are on fire. Your cortisol is all over the place. Your DNA is being upregulated, and you're in a big stress state. You can actually rub oils on your body. You can put them on your tongue. You can take them internally. And what that's going to do is they're going to also get into your cell, because they're tiny, tiny pieces of fat, remember? So they go right through that membrane. They're going to go into your cell. They're going to regulate DNA expression as well. And we're finding that they do really positive things for your DNA expression. So they can combat some of those cortisol effects and other effects. They can also bind right to the receptor. So some of those signals that are going through the receptor, they can also bind there. So they support cell receptors, they promote healthy cell function, they maintain cells in a natural state. One really exciting study, and if you like, please email me, I'm happy to send this out, but what they did was they took somebody that had a condition called rouleau, and all that means is that their red blood cells are squashed. So they can't carry oxygen as well, right? So that's a big problem. So they put this beautiful doTERRA blend called Balance on the bottom of this person's feet. They took their blood before and after the Balance. They waited 30 seconds after rubbing the Balance, and their blood cells went from this to this. So buoyant, able to carry oxygen. Just that shows you in 30 seconds what these oils can do in a real live example. So I'm happy to send that out. It's really powerful to see the blood before and after.
Yeah, I'm sure people would love that. It's always good to see a visual, People are over here saying that they're loving that you're including the science and all of this. Elise said, preach biology queen. So I think it's great that people really want this information, right? It's good to know. I like to be in the know. So this is all lovely. So I'm sure people would love that.
Yeah, it's so cool and amazing. And thank you for that, Elise, and for that acknowledgement, because I really hope that this hour can serve in some sense as a bridge. It's not two things. There's not Western medicine and, essential oils. It's all one thing, and they're really working together. doTERRA is now opening up clinics all over the country, housed with MDs, nurses, and they're prescribing essential oils, which is really powerful. And actually a really big thing in Western medicine is, doctors can get this continuing education. They've now considered essential oils not alternative medicine, but integrative medicine. And you can get a continuing education credit and get your license re-upped by taking a class on essential oils as an MD. Now, so it's really coming in. It's a huge thing. Yeah. And it's really exciting because they're really cheap and they're so accessible to everybody, which is so great. And they're packed with chemistry, which is what this slide is. So one drop, it really only takes one drop that has enough molecules for every single cell in your body to be very well supported. So that's another good thing. It's like, you don't need to take a bunch of this. You just need to take one drop. The other nice thing I'll just interject is we have been co-evolving with plants for millions of years, and our liver is very equipped to handle essential oils, because if you've ever eaten fruit or eaten any kind of plant on your plate, cilantro, anything like that, your body has been used to working with essential oils. So your liver is very equipped to metabolize it. They metabolize it in about 90 minutes. You can mix whatever oils you want. There's no effects there. There's no side effects. So it's just such a safe thing. And I will say, from being in Western medicine, working on different pathways that would lead to a pharmaceutical, I see so many pharmaceuticals having so many bad off-target effects in the brain and in the body, where you might use it for something, but then you have to take another pill because now you're obese, and you have to take another pill because now you're not sleeping. Essential oils, they're amazing because you can take all these different things and nothing is hurting your body. It's just trying to get your body back in balance. Another really powerful thing that's been coming to the fore recently in science is that we have 3 brains, which if anybody can guess that, you get a Snickers bar. No, you don't get a Snickers bar. You get a piece of fruit.
Wait a minute.
You get a piece of fruit.
If you get taking the essential oils, then you can eat the Snickers.
Exactly. That's not how that works.
That's what happens.
That's okay. So we have 3 brains. So one that gets a lot of press. I want the publicist of the brain, because the brain has a great publicist. It gets all the credit. I heard a really funny quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. It says, the brain is the most incredible organ in the body, according to the brain.
That's amazing.
And I just love that so much. So there's a reason why the brain gets a lot of press. But this is, logic and intellect. It's our training. It's what we, this is the analytics. It's the list. What we don't often think is that our subconscious mind is actually driving 90% of the behavior. I know, Jody, that you're a coach. You're an excellent coach. If anybody needs a coach out there, Jody is the best in the entire world. I love her so much. And she's just incredible. But I'm sure what you found, Jody, and I do a little bit of coaching too, is that it doesn't matter if you tell somebody, if you give somebody the list of 10 things they need to do and it's going to change their life, if they have subconscious patterning running in their body and their brains, they're not going to do anything.
Totally. That's why I talk about limiting beliefs and excuses. And then this is a tool to support all of that, which I love.
Absolutely. And a lot of times it doesn't matter. I mean, they literally cannot see to do these things because there's childhood trauma or there's limiting beliefs, or even things like diet can cloud the brain. And we'll talk about that. But that's where the oils, I think, comes in really nicely with coaching, because it's a back door. It's like, okay, I can't get there through my prefrontal cortex, which is the area of the brain that's like all the planning and the lists, and this is what I need to do. But you can get there through the limbic system, and all of a sudden, I'm calmer, and I'm thinking about this a little bit differently, and maybe, I don't have that belief anymore. So there's a back door. Now we do have to do the work, which is like you use these tools like oils and coaching and things like that, but it's like the daily work of looking into that, and we'll go into that too, like uncovering those beliefs. I really believe in therapy. I think therapy is amazing. Like things like that, reading self-help books are incredibly powerful. We can change. And that's something as a neuroscientist I found really exciting, is that synapses, which are the points of neuron to neuron communication, they're created in adults. It was before we were thinking, everything is stable. Once your brain is created, nothing changes. But that's not true. There's something called adult neuroplasticity, where we're getting those brain-to-brain cell connections all the time. And you can truly change your brain by doing this work. So I just want to encourage everybody that's doing the work to keep going, because you can change who you are as a person, which is amazing. So here are the 2 other underrepresented brains that I really want to bring to the fore. The heart is amazing. Whenever you feel intuition, especially as women, if there's, I'm sure there's a lot of women out there, don't let anybody tell you that your intuition doesn't matter, or it's not logical, or you're crazy, or any of those silly things that we're told. The heart is such a powerful brain to guide us as a compass in this world. And actually there are more neural pathways that run from the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart. So it's really, it's really running the show, and really listening. And a lot of times that takes being quiet, meditating, breathing, really listening, getting into that space. Even if you have 10 minutes a day, just really tuning in. Now, one of my favorite new brains that we're learning about is the gut. The gut is so powerful as what it's doing to your whole system and how you're operating in the world. There are about 350 million people worldwide that are depressed. So that's about the population of the United States, to give you an idea. What scientists are now thinking is a grand majority of those people that are depressed, of course, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in the brain, but can be due to bad gut. And the reason they're looking at that is, as they're looking at that, they're finding when they can restore the gut, some of the depression can lift within a 24-hour period, which means that it's something that's more based on inflammation than based on true miswiring in the brain or firing or things like that. So what they propose is that there's immune responses, and we'll talk a little bit about inflammation too. It's called bad gut bacteria. And what happens is you have an inflammatory response in your gut, which causes a cascade leading to these tiny molecules called cytokines, which can cross the blood-brain barrier and shut it down. So when I have clients that come to me and say, you know, I'm feeling really depressed. Also, interestingly enough, my skin has like eczema and I can't sleep at night. I always try to restore the gut first. So we're going to give you some tools on how to do that. This is what I personally do in my life every single day. I've also used these as prenatals and for postpartum and all that stuff. It's really good to restore your gut. So I'm going to show you really simple ways to do that. Back in the day, we really didn't have to take supplements because our food gave us what we needed. If you were eating healthy apples, you know, you're eating vegetables, you're having a balanced diet, you're getting what you needed. Because of the environment and the impact that humans have been having on the environment and things like that, our soil is really depleted. It's now become almost like dirt. And a lot of these minerals and vitamins, we do need to supplement until we can restore our planet. So this is like the 3-power pack. And what I think about it is like, I think about it turning that dirt into soil, and it takes a while, right? If you're a farmer, you know, it takes a long time to turn that over. It takes about 90 days to turn over the blood. It takes a little bit longer to turn over the cells. We're just going to turn that over. One of the ways is getting a really good bioavailable multivitamin. So this is my favorite. It's called MV or multivitamin, and it's bioavailable, meaning that it's already ready to be absorbed by your body. Your liver does not have to process these vitamins. It just is absorbed by your body. I love this one. It also contains a whole food complex. The alpha CRS is an antioxidant. So very briefly, we have all of these free radicals that come from the sun, come from the food that we're eating. Most of them are just in our body from our cellular processes. What this does is it just grabs those free radicals, which can wreak havoc on our DNA. It just kind of squelches them. It puts them under a blanket. It just corrects them. This is a really beautiful, beautiful product. It has, you know, things like turmeric, resveratrol, like beautiful things that help with those free radicals. And then last but not least are the omegas. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the importance of omega-3s. What that does is it basically just helps coat your brain. So it fires a little bit faster, and it just really supports your body, mostly brain health. And this also contains 9 different essential oils that really support, frankincense being one of them, really support your body. Now yeah.
I have a question from Elise. She wants to know, can you repeat the stress and excess cortisol effect? This I can't even say the word.
Cytokine.
Cytokines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you repeat the stress, excess cortisol affecting the cytokines in the gut? Can you repeat
Yes. Yeah. So absolutely. So it's basically bad gut. So a lot of times that happens. I'll tell you a couple ways that can happen. If you take a lot of antibiotics, the problem with antibiotics is they just destroy everything. I like to think of it as a village. They're like killing the women and children. They're killing the bad guys. They're just killing everything. And we have something called crypts in our intestinal lining. And when those antibiotics get into those really precious zones in our intestines, that wipes out everything. And then bad bacteria can take that over and flourish. What happens with the cytokines is we get an inflammation. So we really want to reduce inflammation in our body. That's a really big keyword to write down. What happens when we have inflammation is we get an inflammatory response. And what that means is that we get all this cascade of different things that happen. Really, our body is trying to fight it off. But what happens is we get a lot of collateral damage. So one of the inflammatory signals is called a tiny thing called cytokine, and it can cross the blood-brain barrier. So what happens if you have really bad gut, let's say if you've taken a lot of antibiotics or eating a lot of sugar, your gut is filled with bad bacteria, it's going to become inflamed. And what scientists propose is that leads to cytokines, which can cross the blood-brain barrier and kind of create that brain fog, if anybody's had that. Mm-hmm. Did that answer the question on that one?
I think so. And I think she was wondering if like repeated stress, and can that affect the cytokines? If you have repeated stress, which is your cortisol, will that affect?
Yeah. So I kind of propose them as 2 different things. So the stress is causing that cortisol release from your adrenal glands, which then is getting into your cells and regulating your DNA expression. The bad gut is kind of something different. You could have no stress in your life and still have bad gut from taking a lot of antibiotics or eating a lot of sugar. And that's going to create, so I would think about them as separate things. we're all a system, so they will feed into each other. This is one way. If you're having a lot of stress, a lot of times go for sugar. There's been some scientific studies that show that you want more carbohydrates and more fats when you're stressed, and that can foster the bad bacteria in your gut, which can then increase inflammation. So there's ways that they're connected, but I would think for now of them as like separate things.
Great.
Stress, cortisol, DNA regulation, and then bad gut, inflammation, cytokines. Does that make sense?
Yes. She said, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, great. Awesome. So one thing to do is, you want to just, if you know, you're like, I have bad gut, or you think, I suspect I might have bad gut. One other way to know that is your skin is like a chimney. So if you're having a lot of skin issues, the gut is telling you, usually it's a bad gut that's causing those skin problems. So there's some ways to fix it. So of course you want to cut out sugar, dairy, alcohol, red meat. These are really hard things to do. It's really hard to change behaviors, but you can work on that. But we also can go to the gut and restore it. So Doterra has this really beautiful system. I actually did this, and it also increases fertility. So be a little bit careful if you don't want that. But it just, fertility is also can be a sign that you're really healthy. So what it does is you take the GX Assist, and this is just a botanical, it's all botanicals, and it cleans out your gut. It's just cleaning out the bad gut. Think about if you had like a pan that was dirty, or you just had cooked something in it. It's just cleaning that out. And then after you do that, so you would do that for 10 days, it just cleans it out. And then the next 10 days, you take a probiotic. But here's the catch with most probiotics. And when I talk to scientists, they're always kind of rolling their eyes at probiotics, because your stomach is acidic. It's a pH of 4. So whenever you drink that kombucha or you're taking a probiotic, it's going to digest about 97% of the probiotic, which is an enzyme, and enzymes don't like acid, right? They're going to be disrupted. The reason why my scientist friends love doTERRA's PB Assist is because it has 2 capsules. The whole outer capsule is a prebiotic. So as soon as it hits the stomach, the outer capsule is being digested by the stomach acid and releasing that prebiotic. Then that probiotic can be implanted into your gut, which is really important. You have to have a delivery system for that probiotic. Otherwise, you're only going to get 3% in your gut. So you do that for 10 days, you restore your gut. The other really nice thing is called a Terrazyme. This is going to digest a lot of your food. It's a lot of enzymes. It also has an anti-gluten, which I know a lot of people have gluten sensitivities. And what this does is it just gives you the most nutrients out of your food. So a lot of times we're shoveling our food down. You can also do something that's kind of neat. Drink water about 30 minutes before you eat. And when you eat, don't have any liquids. It'll concentrate the acid to food, which will help you digest your food better. It's a good thing to do. Also, when you take the Terrazyme, it's going to break up that food. It's going to give you more nutrients. That's going to be absorbed into your gut. Really good. The other thing to do is take some lemon in your water in the morning. That just cleans everything out. It's a great way to start your day, and you can smell that as well. And then Zendocrine is really good. It has cilantro in it, which cilantro is a heavy metal chelator. And what that means is it just pulls heavy metals out of your body. So it's just going to really just give you that nice, really that chance when you go into the world with all of the sugar and all the dairy and all the chemicals and all the pollutants. It just gives your body a chance to have a really, really healthy gut.
I love that. Yeah. My husband and I both start our day with lemon water every morning.
It's so really, really good. And some people ask is that, I take lemon in my water in the morning. Does it help to add the oil? Something that's really neat to think about is the oil is a different chemistry than the citrus, because the oil is from the rind. So when you take the rind and you squeeze it, the oil comes out. So it actually has complementary chemistries. So if you're already doing the citrus, if you add the oil, it's actually complementary. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about doing just the oil is it doesn't degrade your teeth, which the citrus will eventually erode your teeth.
Oh. And okay, I have another question here.
Yes.
From Diana. She says, are all of these in pill form? Is there anything in powder form for those of us who can't swallow pills?
That's a great question. My mom is like this. And what she does is she just pops the pill open and then puts it in her shake. We do have a really cool thing that I just ordered. It's called PB Assist Junior, which is, remember those little pixie sticks from back in the day where we just broke them open? And I was so addicted to those. It's horrible. They're all sugar. doTERRA has one that's probiotic. So it's like a little pixie stick. So you could just put the probiotic in your water.
Nice.
like that. And you could always just pop open the pills too, but that's a great question. Okay, so we learned about the three brains. We learned about how to restore them. They influence each other, right? So we know that we're one system. We're not separate. We're the system. And it's so neat. I love linguistics. It's so interesting that in our society, we already have words and language to acknowledge the three brains, right? We say, I have to figure this out, right? That's the brain. I feel overwhelmed. That's the heart. Or I'm stuck. That's the gut. So I would another fun thing to do this week is just listen to your body. And you could even call it out, like, who's talking right now? Is it my heart? Is it my gut? Is it my brain? And then these have different symptoms to show that they're off balance. When you have head tension, it's something in your brain. When you're feeling conflicted, it's your heart. When you have an unsettled stomach, it's your digestion system. Okay, so I'm going to go through this one. This one has been coming up for me a lot, which I've gotten past it, but worked through it. But anger, and anger is this feeling of being mad and infuriated, right? So really good oils for this is cardamom, thyme, geranium, ylang ylang, spikenard. And again, this is all recorded. So if you're dealing with anger, these have really helped me a lot to process this. Now, the organ for anger is liver. So that's another good thing to think about. So if you're feeling these feelings, which makes a lot of sense, right? Especially in this time, what did not go as planned? Again, that's pretty laughable, right? Everything got canceled. There's like, oh, everything is canceled. The world is canceled. So that can, increase anger. What am I afraid of? So declare, I now have permission to recognize and validate my feelings. I now trust that all things are working together for my good. And then as a visualization, see yourself exchange anger for forgiveness and light. Consider physical movement to release your pent up energy, right? So emotion is really just emotion, energy in motion, right? So we can really move and release some of that anger and just give ourselves a break and do some of this declaration. I want to go through some of the oils that have really supported me in managing my emotions and working with my emotions, one of which is wild orange. This is actually the oil of abundance. So if you're ever feeling like you want more abundance in your life, this is really, really good. I just inhale it in the morning. I rub it on my hands. I inhale it. You can diffuse it, put it in water. It's just really, really nice oil. The other great one is balance. So we talked about this already, about rubbing that balance on the feet helps restore your red blood cells. The other one that I really love is frankincense. I call this the duct tape of essential oils. This is a really big one for inflammation. So I just take a couple drops on my tongue. It helps reduce inflammation in the body. It's also really good for any DNA repair. It works with the DNA machinery to help repair any DNA missed base pairs and things like that. The other nice thing about frankincense, I don't know if anybody has daddy issues.
Let's just cut to the chase, right?
just
get real.
Let's just get real with this. This is really good for daddy issues. And daddy issues can be really daddy issues, but they can also be any authoritative stuff. I'm gonna read a little bit about this from this book because I think frankincense is so great. So yeah, I wanted to read something about frankincense. So this is reveals deceptions and false truths. It invites individuals to let go of lower vibrations, lies, deceptions, and negativity. It helps create new perspectives based on light and truth. It recalls to memory spiritual understanding, gifts, wisdom, knowledge. It's really, really good. So it's good for healing with the Father. So enlightened, loved, protected, wisdom, discerning, spiritually open, connected to Father. So really good for that if you inhale it. Very, very good for any neurological conditions. So it can help with bipolar, depression, any heavy hitting neurological conditions. And one thing that's really special about the oils is they cross the blood-brain barrier because they're so tiny, which a lot of pharmaceuticals cannot. So if you're diffusing it, you're getting that into your brain, and it's really good for your brain as far as that goes. Also very good. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say when we first met too, because I think most people know that I'm a breast cancer survivor. And so I take a drop of frankincense every day for even that to, for my own body and immune system and all of that to keep those free radicals at bay. So
yes. Yeah. That is how, I am so grateful for frankincense because I've seen my friends and clients benefit from that in that way. And I will cite something that there's this really powerful study where they took in a dish, they took human breast cancer cells, and then they took human breast cells that were healthy. They added the frankincense, and the frankincense specifically killed the human breast cancer cells, but kept the human breast cells intact and healthy.
Wow.
Statistically significant. Yeah. So that, it isn't a dish, but it is human cells. And what's so remarkable is it's specifically targeting the cancer cells, which chemotherapy cannot do. It's chemotherapy just kills everything. And, Jody, your story with this is so powerful. I had another friend dealing with something like that, which is really helped by this. And my own sister, actually, I hope she's okay with me sharing this. I won't mention her name, but she had a tumor behind her pituitary gland. And it was so scary for our family because they cannot operate. It's so deep. And she called me in 2017 and it's like, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with this. She can't. So, but I told her, Chelsea, take frankincense on your thumb, put it on the roof of your mouth every single day. And doing that with her medication, because these oils do actually help some of the pharmaceuticals, the tumor has shrunk and it's like shrunk to be so tiny. And she does that every single day. So,
wow.
Now I'm not, for all of my MDs out there, and if the FDA is watching, I'm not saying that frankincense is going to solve any brain cancer, but I'm just telling you there's been so many studies on this, and I'm happy to share my research with it. And personally, I just feel so grateful because I have that personal story with my sister, and yeah, it's worth doing. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Right. Not gonna hurt. I have two questions here from Sarah, which is kind of what we're talking about now. She says she knows some essential oils are not safe to ingest. Are all of Doterra essential oils safe to ingest?
That's a really good question. So the grand majority are, and so what you'll see a label on the side that says supplemental facts, and that's an FDA label. So that's FDA approved that you can take that internally. Now there are some tree oils that are not, they don't really act well with your body. So for instance, Breathe is not one that we would recommend ingesting. So it's not FDA approved to ingest, but the grand majority are. But I just always say, just check the side, just make sure it's the supplemental facts. And then, yeah, you want to take, it depends on how old, like your age, but you can take quite a bit internally, but I wouldn't take more than 25 drops internally because your liver is processing these. These are like pharmaceuticals in a sense, even though they're really play well with your body. You don't want to overdo it. And as we said, one drop is enough to really do the deal. So I would start with a drop and then go from there. There's some oils that are really powerful to ingest. Peppermint being one of them, because it's really good for digestion. So I just put a drop on my hand, I lick it off, or you can put it in your, I put some in my coffee in the morning. You can use it for fresh breath. I rub it on my stomach, but you can get these in your body. Again, I wouldn't take internally more than about 25 drops. And that's a great question. And then there it is on the bottle that shows you. And also, when you become a member on my team and we're working together more one-on-one, I have a safety chart that also shows, if you're pregnant, which oils not to take. Again, these are really powerful medicines. So there are some oils that you want to avoid if you're pregnant. There are some oils you want to avoid if you're breastfeeding. If you're a child, there are, but to me, that's exciting because that's like, oh, these are real. This is real medicine. You know what I mean? So, but that's a great, great question.
And she has the next one after that for Sarah is you need to have a certain amount of time between taking essential oils, like lemon in the morning, frankincense a little later. Does that matter?
That's a great question. No, it doesn't really matter. You can take them, you can combine them, you can do a lot of stuff. In fact, a lot of, people will take veggie caps with oils with a bunch of them mixed and things like that. That's one of the nice things about them. Now it is about 90-minute time course. So if you're doing something, it will restore your cells. So it does help in that way. But if you want to take them and then maybe a couple hours later, try something else and just, it will correct things though. So it's nice. Now the time course of the oils is when you inhale them in your brain, it's 22 seconds. In your body, it's 20 minutes, and in your blood, it's 30 seconds. So that's the biological time course of things that you'll see something. So just quickly, peppermint is amazing. It's so great for just mental fog. It helps digestion. It's great for fresh breath. It's really good for focus and energy. It's really, really great staple.
I love peppermint. I put a drop of it in my protein shake every morning.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. It's a good pick-me-up too if you want to replace coffee in the middle of the day. It's really good. I want to talk a second about Copaiba. This is very good for inflammation. So we talked about how inflammation can be affected in your gut and then shut down your brain. Copaiba I'm sure everybody's heard of CBD oil. Yep. So CBD, what that does is it binds to two receptors, cannabinoid 1 and 2. Copaiba is this beautiful oil from the Amazon. It's from a tree in the Amazon. And what it does, which is so exciting, is it binds directly to the CB2 receptor. Now, CBD oil, I love that medicine. I think it's great, but it binds indirectly to both receptors. This one is really targeted to the receptor CB2, and it helps with nervous system. So it helps with emotions. It also helps with immune function and inflammation. So it's going to reduce a lot of inflammation in your body. It's also a lot less expensive. So a bottle like this with 250 drops is about $35 wholesale, whereas about the same with CBD oil is about $100. So it's about a third of the price, and really also good for pain management.
Great.
Just want to talk really briefly about, you can apply these topically. So right to the area where you're having an effect, so over your heart, on the back of your neck. You can put it near your brain. Again, when I was talking about the brain tumor, right on the roof of your mouth, if you want to get something right near your brain, if you're feeling digestive issues, right on your stomach. So I just put them where I need the most help. The bottom of the feet is a good place if you're not sure where to put everything, because there's really large pores, tougher skin, just so you don't have any sensitivities. And there's an entire map of the body on the bottom of your foot. So let's say you're dealing with some lung issues. You might want to put some oil there. Also near, inhale it. So that's a really powerful place to put the oils. Internally is really good. We talked about that, and thank you for that question too. So just check the side of your bottle, make sure it's a supplemental. If you're having digestive issues, that's a really good thing to do. This is a brand new system that Doterra has designed. It's called the Adaptive System. It's wild orange, lavender, again, that Copaiba, spearmint, rosemary, magnolia, neroli, sweet gum. All these things, what they're doing is they're regulating something in the brain called the GABA system. So there's a stop-start system in your brain. One is glutamatergic, that's the stop or the start. It's like making everything go, go, go. And then the stop system is called the GABA system. The reason why you want to support the GABA system is when you get in these recurrent circuitry loops, essentially, you're just thinking of things, you're perseverating, you're just going, going, going. This kind of calms everything down. So it's a 3-part system where it has capsules that you take, it has an oil you diffuse, and it has a roller bottle. So that's really, really good if you're dealing with anxiety. In these last just few minutes, I just want to invite everybody to think about the health of their mind, heart, and gut. So their mind, working on healthy thought patterns, belief systems. What are you nourishing your brain with food-wise? Your heart, your intuition, how you give and receive, and your gut. How is your gut? How are you digesting life? Are you seeing skin issues? Are you seeing some problems with your gut that you want to clean out? So we really want to address these 3 areas, both emotionally and physically. And just really quickly, I know a lot of us are dealing with fear. So there's some really good oils. And again, this is on recording, so we can look at these a little bit later, but deep blue is good, cinnamon is good. We want to look, what's the root of our fear? We want to declare, I now release my fear. I trust and I'm safe. And then we want to visualize, see a light dispel the darkness around your body. Invite this light to dispel all false thinking and lift your mind to a higher truth about the self in the future. Okay, so just something that we can do at home as you're rewatching this too is, I like to think, what are 3 things that if I really got a handle on, they would completely change my life? So one is sleep. The other is mood regulation. And the other, this is just a silly example, but even like skin and hair, let's say you really have trouble with skin. So then think about on the other end of that, what would you improve? So if you had better sleep, I would have better relationships, more productivity, for instance. If you really got a handle on your emotions, and this specifically for this class, if you really had a handle on your emotions, how would that change your life? How would that change how you move through life? And then which oils can best support your health goals? So this is something that is best done on a one-on-one. So this is something that I'd love to offer to, we have kind of a fun little contest going with a link that Jody's going to send out to talk about what you're dealing with and how serious are you about dealing with that. And I'm going to pick 10 people to go through this one-on-one, send oils to them, and really talk about, you're dealing with sleep. Let's look at that. What's best for you, which oils are best, which things would support you the best. Just some examples. There's hundreds of things that we can do to help, but it's really good to ground in and think, is there an emotional component? Is there a physical component? And as we're just kind of ending up, this is the last slide. I just really want to encourage everybody to just not be over, breathe a little bit more this coming week. If you could just maybe use a couple of oils to inhale in the morning. Really, we see the greatest change when we're doing these small things every day. So you fill a bucket drop by drop, you clear your mind thought by thought, and you heal yourself moment by moment. So what are we doing every day to create tiny shifts in our lives? And the brain doesn't like big changes. It kind of stops those behaviors. So what I would invite everybody to do is introduce one new healthy thing into your life this week, and just do that every week. And then the next week, just add on an additional one. So maybe you are breathing more this week, and then you're going to add lemon to your water the next week. And then the next week, you're going to put lavender on your feet at night. Just kind of creating these small changes goes a really long way. So I have a couple minutes left. I just want to thank everybody, and I'm happy to take questions. I just wanted to thank you again.
I have a few questions, Jamie. If
okay, great.
Stay for just
minutes. Yeah.
Excellent. So maybe stop your screen, and then I'll ask some of these.
Oh, sure.
Here, that would be great, just so I can see you here. And then everyone can see us bigger. There we go. So first of all, thank you for all that information. I think everyone is like, oh my God, I needed this. People are like freaking out in the comments about this information, because I think all of us have so many of these issues of overwhelm, fear, anger, and how are we processing these? And essential oils is a great way to support us and support our being. So I think this is really wonderful. So again, I'm grateful to have you here. So just a couple of questions. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, thank you for having me. I just feel so grateful to be here.
Okay, good. Okay, so question, when you, from Sarah, when you apply topically the oils, do any of them have to be combined with a carrier oil?
That's a really, really good question. I actually really love combining the oils with the carrier oil because it's good. It reduces, if you have any skin sensitivity or more sensitive, it's really reduces that. But also, if you think about it, the oils can flash off because they're aromatic, right? They're used to being traveling through air. So if you put a carrier oil, I would recommend coconut oil because it degrades a lot slower. It's a really nice oil. It'll trap that oil onto your skin, and more will actually get into your body if you use it. And even a little trick is to rub the area beforehand. What happens is that increases the blood flow, and then put that oil with the carrier oil right on your skin. It's a really good way to do it.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. So Alana says, is there a list of what types of oils work for what type of issue that you could send to us? Or is that the app that you were talking about earlier? Like, what's the best? I know there can't just be one document. It would probably be like 20 miles long.
It's so cool. And the way that I really like to think about it, they are like pharmaceuticals. So, if you went to a doctor and she said, take this pharmaceutical, you try it for a little bit, and you take another one, and you try it, and then you find one that works. You kind of are patient with the process, figuring out what works. And humans they're so intricate in their environment, what they're eating, their lifestyle, their sleep, that it does take a little bit to figure out the exact oil for you. Now, there are protocols that have worked for many, many people. It's like, these are the oils that work for this thing most of the time. And I actually say, I love this app. This is the go-to app that I have. I'll share it with everybody. It's called EOE Books. You could just most of your phones. I love this app. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like that.
Great. I'm posting it.
EOE Books. It's purple. Yeah. It's really great. So what you can do is you can type in anything under the sun, and you type this little dropper, which goes to a protocol, and it shows you, it just gives you protocols. It's like, use this combination in this way. The reason I really like it is very specific, and it's based on, so it shows you what it's based on actually. It's like, okay, this is based on some studies. This is based on, thousands of reports. I give you a couple of anecdotal reports that I've dealt with. Just imagine if there was like thousands of those stories, it'll say like, this is based on this. So I like that it also tells you exactly what it's been based on. And I love that. Those have been working really well for my clients.
I love that. So a couple of people have specific questions about that. So one is, what's the best one for sleep? And is there an essential oil that helps deal with nightmares? And I got to tell you, so many of my clients as of late, I don't know if you're finding this, just in this pandemic, like my dreams have been insane.
Yeah.
Even having, I forgot what you call it, like night terrors. I had a night terror one night. Like, I feel like people are having a lot of dreams, a lot of trouble sleeping, a lot of nightmares. So in terms of sleep or nightmares, what would you recommend for that?
Yeah, that's near and dear to my heart. It's one of the ways I got into doTERRA, because I had insomnia, and I was like trying to figure out how to sleep. And I've discovered some beautiful oils that help so much with sleep. And I'll tell you, if you have any little ones at home, babies, toddlers, the oils are great for sleep for that reason. So the ones that I use, and if you're just like going to go for it and try all these oils, it's likely gonna work for you, but we could go through too. You can contact me. We can work on it one-on-one. But the go-to one that's really good is lavender. I'm sure like a lot of people know about that. And I would just recommend either diffusing that by your bed or rubbing that on your feet. There's a really good oil called vetiver, and it's from a root in Haiti. You just rub that on the bottoms of your feet. It's very grounding. So lavender and vetiver. The other one that is amazing for dreams is called Roman chamomile. And I just rubbed that on my temples. I did that last night, and it was like I had these amazing deep sleep. It's really good to get you to go to sleep. And then the vetiver helps you stay asleep. So the Roman chamomile, like, it helps your dreams, it helps you go to sleep, and then the vetiver helps you stay asleep. And then the last one I really love is called Serenity. And my husband and I just rub it on our spines and just kind of rub it up and down our spines. It's really, really good for that. It's also nice to, as an intimacy moment, if you do have a partner that you can do that with, or you can just rub it on your own back, rub it on your chest. Those are really, really good for sleep.
I love that. And then one more question here has there been any studies on essential oils and endometriosis?
That's a really great question. So I'm happy to send out a link with that. Jody, you send it with the email. It's called Aromatic Science. It actually might be Aromatic Sciences. So I want to get the exact correct link, but I love that link because it collates all the research that's been done on essential oils. So all you would do is you would type in endometriosis and it would pull up all of the studies that have been done on it. So it might say, you know, this oil or that oil. So that's my go-to to send, that I send to the clinical, like people that are in clinical, like MDs or PhDs or nurses, or people that really want that research. That's the link that I'm happy to include that in the email too.
Great, great. Okay, we've got a few minutes over. I so appreciate you. I appreciate your time, Jamie. So just to reiterate, there's going to be a link that I'll post in this live when we're complete. And my follow-up email for Jamie will include that link as well as any other links that she's going to be sharing, which I think is something about frankincense and pituitaries, endometriosis. There was something in the beginning. I wrote share doc with community. Don't remember what that was, but hopefully remember. But I know there's other links that you're going to be sharing with us. So please fill out this form if you're having issues that you really, want to discuss and find some solutions to. Fill out this form, which will go directly to Jamie. She's going to select 10 people to do a free 1-hour consult with her. And that way you can dig a little deeper into all of this. But please fill out that form because who knows, right? You could be one of those 10 people. And it's just great to start to be in Jamie's community. I'm a member of her community. She supports me with anything I need. I was having lots of hormone things last year, and it's like, what oils do I need for this? So it's good to have her in your back pocket as especially as females, as we all age. It's really a good thing. So there's that. So yeah, a lot of people are asking, how much is the gut kit? How much is that? So when you reach out to Jamie, ask any of these specific questions to her and she can support you with that. And I even see that Elise just said, is Doterra hiring? So you could probably talk to her about that as well.
Yes. Actually, I am looking for people. Actually, right now I'm looking for people to build a business with. So that's something you can absolutely email me about too.
Wonderful.
And I'm always on. So starting tomorrow, I'll definitely get back to you by tomorrow. So please email me and you bet that I'll get back to you. And I'm so excited to meet you and see everybody's face. And by the way, I want to mention it's not only the one-on-one consult, but you're also going to get oils to go along with it that are specific for your needs. Yeah.
That's right. You get free oils. Woohoo!
Yeah.
That's very exciting. Okay, so you guys, I will make sure I get all these links from Jamie. I'm going to chat with her right now to get her best contact info that she'll share with you, as well as all these links. I'll make sure they're in this post and in the email that I send out after all this is complete. All right. So thank you so much for joining us, Jamie. Thank you for being here.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. All right. See you later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.